Hey YouTube, we are back again this week for another video portion of the Daly Dose Sports Podcast. Hopefully you are enjoying these videos every week, and I hope everyone out there is doing well. Hope you're all staying healthy. Hey, this week on the Daly Dose YouTube video, we are actually discussing some questions that we have for the restart of the NBA. You might have forgot this. The NBA is actually scheduled to start back up, not tomorrow, but next Thursday, July 30th. So we've got some questions about that restart. So let's continue with questions that we have about the NBA restarting their season, and let's get to some tough ones. And the next one up is actually a really big one. What happens when there are positive tests? This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And I hate to say, but it probably will happen. So the NBA had better have a plan, because here's the thing. You can't just shut down. There's too much money at stake. If a positive test is going to shut everything down, you shouldn't be restarting to begin with. So the NBA had better have a protocol to follow. You quarantine, and then you test everyone that was there, and then you quarantine until everyone is good, and then you reschedule those games, but you don't just shut them down. Commissioner Adam Silver had better have a plan in place, or this restart is going to be a huge waste of everyone's time. Our next question, what are the players going to be putting on their jerseys? Well, the NBA has actually approved some social justice messages that players can place on the back of their jerseys instead of their names. Here are the approved messages. Black Lives Matter. Say their names. Vote. I can't breathe. Justice. Peace. Equality. Freedom. Enough. Power to the people. Justice now. Say her name. Yes, we can. Liberation. See us. Hear us. Respect us. Love us. Listen. Listen to us. Stand up. Ally. Anti-racist. I am a man. Speak up. How many more? Group economics. Education reform. And mentor. Now, I don't see anything about Hong Kong in there, but maybe there's more coming later. We will wait and see, but those are the things that are being placed on the back of players' jerseys if they choose so. They don't have to, but they can place those on the back of their jerseys instead of their names. I find it interesting that the actual NBA is the one approving these. That kind of seems weird to me. Like if you were at work at just your job and your boss was telling you, hey, we have some things you can put on your shirt there instead of your name. Here are some messages. Well, can I write my own message? No. We are going to give you the messages. Like, that's a little bit weird, isn't it? Which, of course, brings us to our next question. Is politicizing sports going to be good for the NBA and for this whole restart? I mean, remember, they're going to have Black Lives Matter on the floor. They're going to have political statements on their jersey. And I'll be very, very honest. I doubt it. I don't think it's going to be that good. Because I'll tell you why. Most people turn to sports to get away from politics. Hey, come November, I'm watching Monday Night Football. I'm not watching a debate. If you can't draw record viewing numbers right now, I don't mean like, oh yeah, the numbers are pretty good. No, I mean like they are breaking every record in the history of ever right now. Because there's not that much else on to watch that everyone is going to be watching. This is going to be a disaster for the NBA. I'm going to be very, very interested to see the numbers. Because remember, like we talked about earlier, the NFL is talking like they're going to be coming soon. And if you have the choice, we know here in America, people would rather watch football than basketball. So I know the NBA is buying into this whole politicizing everything. Be very careful. Because if people tune out and they don't watch, this will be disastrous for the league. It's not going to be good. Remember, you're already not getting any gate. You're already doing this on the cheap. Don't drive away the viewers that you should have because you're putting that kind of stuff out there. I'm not saying you can't have views. I'm not saying that. But it is, at the end of the day, about business and the bottom line, right? Here's our next question. Can security keep the side chicks out of the bubble? Answer, no way. That is not going to happen, which is why, once again, Adam Silver had better have a plan for positive cases. Because here's the thing to keep in mind. Not all Orlando strippers are going to be wearing masks. So you could have a case sneak in to the bubble. And if that happens, you better have a plan in place. Will we see the NBA anonymous tip hotline used to gain a competitive advantage? Now, if you missed this, the NBA has actually set up a tip hotline where players and personnel can call and report someone who isn't abiding by the bubble guidelines. In fact, Dwight Howard with the Los Angeles Lakers, he's already been reported. I think he wasn't wearing a mask or something. But couldn't you see the night before like Game 7, someone calls and reports a top player who was like smuggling in skanks with their room service? Yeah, you could see that. It is possible. I would think that the NBA is going to be ready for this kind of thing. Hey, if you're going to use the tip hotline, you're going to call someone in, I don't know, I would think you'd have to provide some proof. You'd have to have a photo. I don't think you could just call up and say, hey, LeBron James is sneaking in his, new hair guy into the room to try to touch up that rug. I don't think you're going to be able to get away with something like that, because I would think the NBA has to have something in place for that kind of situation. Speaking of LeBron James, which player in the bubble has the most on the line? It's got to be LeBron James, doesn't it? Remember, LeBron's Lakers are still the favorite to win this championship. Plus, I know that we're kind of used to LeBron just playing every year, mostly injury-free. He's had a couple years where he's banged up, especially recently. I've noticed he's banged up when he's not winning as much. But no one beats Father Time. I know we're just used to him playing year after year, but he is now 35 years old. He needs to win while he has the chance. And it's not just because of his body eventually going to be breaking down. Keep this in mind. The Lakers have a number of free agents after this season. Anthony Davis, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Avery Bradley, Rajon Rondo, Dwight Howard, Markieff Morris. The Lakers need to win, and they need to win right now. LeBron James actually has a lot on the line here. Our final question, as this NBA season is going to get restarted next Thursday, can the NBA actually pull this off? Yeah, of course they can. But it might take some tough decisions. Keep in mind, the Toronto Raptors have been in Florida for weeks. They haven't had any issues. Other countries, other leagues, soccer leagues, international leagues, they're already playing. They're not having any issues. This can happen. What we have to wait and see is, does the NBA have the sense to pull this off? You can't just pull the plug and walk away if you have some bad news. You've got to deal with it. You've got to be grown-ups and say, okay, we're going to fix this and we're going to continue playing. If so, the NBA can pull this off. But it's going to be really, really interesting to see if they actually do. Okay, YouTube, be sure you go over and you check out the rest of the podcast. I'll leave a link for the podcast down in the comments here on YouTube. Hey, this week on the show, we actually have a few other questions for the restart of this NBA. We kind of talk about who's in it, how the format's going to play out. Plus, we have some breaking news, and we have a Daly Dose top 5 that we're going to get to right now. This NBA season, it's a little weird, right? But the NBA has seen some weird stuff before, too. So make sure you go out and you check out the full podcast. Hope you all are doing well. Have a great week, everybody. I'll see you all next week.